You're listening to What She Grows Through, a podcast dedicated to empower and uplift Black women to grow their self-worth. I'm your host, Chanel Amir, one of many dope Black women, creating a community for us to pour into and align with one another, uncovering our true feelings from sexuality to self-love, to begin growing through life and evolving into our best authentic selves. Let's get started. What's up, beautiful? It's your girl, Chanel Amir, and welcome back to another episode of the What She Grows Through podcast. How are you in this moment? I'm hoping you're doing beautifully or just hanging in there, continuing to grow and enjoy this last month of August. Of course, we're back with another golden episode of our self-care summer series. Now, summer is not just about sunshine and vacations, although those are very important, and it's a must that we do a little bit of something, at least a little bit. It's also, though, a time of rejuvenation, reflection, and most importantly, joy. As we find ourselves toward the end of this season, I'm excited to introduce a voice that harmonizes with the rhythm of joy and the essence of well-being. Meet Pia, a truth seeker, a joy finder, and a nurturing mama. Beyond that, she's a well-being coach, home therapist, a writer, and a speaker. Through her company, Sweet Digs, Pia empowers individuals to find their happiness, live confidently in their truth, and enjoy genuine joy. With her wisdom acquired from Marie Kondo, she truly is an epitome of what it means to spark joy. With features in some dope platforms like the New York Times, NPR, and Real Simple magazine, her voice and knowledge are truly unmatched, and I'm excited. I was so blessed to have connected with Pia today, and I'm so excited for you to listen. Let's dive deep into embracing the art of well-being for Black women. What's up, beautiful? It's your girl, Chanel Amir, back again with another episode of the What She Grows Through podcast. And we have a special episode for the self-care summer series. And just to bring you stories, insights, and real talk from like-minded Black women who are creating their own paths and celebrating our own authentic selves. So today I have a special woman for us, and I was able to get all up in your business on your website and just all the things that you're doing. She's a force of joy, which is perfect for the episode for today. Inspiration and a testament to the power of living your truth and your authenticity. So please welcome Pia, the Joy Finder. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Tell your story. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I feel very honored to be here. I think us meeting was universally driven, and so I'm really glad that we're here today and I can share my story and hopefully inspire a few, if not more of you out in the audience.
Yes, for sure. And I love starting out with this question because it allows us to actually get to know you and how your perspective of you. So the question is, who are you, Pia, in this moment, and how do you feel yourself expanding?
Okay, so who am I? So first and foremost, I am a mom. That is the best decision I ever made with my life. She is my joy and at the same time my teacher. She is really, I think, how God talks to me. And so I'm a mom. I'm a mom first. And I think I'm the definition of expansion and learning and curiosity. My life goal is delusional ease. And so I describe myself as consistently learning, a student. I'm a student, I'm a teacher because I'm a student, right? I heal others because I love healing myself. And so I think I'm a self reflector. I had therapy right before this, and that was the one thing that my therapist
And
was like, you self reflect, right? Like, you are good at that, right? So that is why I'm here. I'm here to teach people to do the same thing. I think I am more and more and more myself every single day. And so when you ask me this question today, it could be different next week. I'm not the same person I was at the beginning of the year. I am a being. I'm not ever just one thing. So when I say what I do to people, I love, I laugh, I mom, those are all verbs, right? I'm a mama, but I'm momming all the time. And in fact, I was just momming before I got on this podcast because I was like, I should probably have my phone next to me just in case the camp calls with anything, right? Like
right.
always momming. And so I I am just fully myself, and it's a consistent choice that I make. Sometimes I don't. I'm consistently 360 degrees of Pia, though. Like, the person I am on this podcast is the person I am in relation to my daughter, the same person I am when I'm working, the same person I am with family, with friends. I don't want to have to go into a place and put a mask on. So I'm always loving, laughing, and momming. That is how I move through the world. Or at least I attempt to. I'm not perfect, right? So when I don't do those things, I give myself grace.
Yeah. And that's just really nice to hear a woman who knows who she is and knowing that things can change. Like who I am in this moment is going to be different than who I am next week or who I was last week. But just knowing in those moments, like you're saying, like self-reflecting that you're always growing and it's okay to change. We're supposed to be changing and blooming and growing. So that's not the same as who you were. And just showing up how you are constantly. Like, can you just share with us how you got to this point to be able to appreciate and accept the person that you are? Were there any self limitations that you had to overcome to get to this point in your growth journey?
Absolutely. And I'm still doing that. And I am always a work in progress. I mean, the 360 degrees of me is a constant choice, and sometimes I forget. But I try to surround myself with people who remind me who I am when I do forget. So, how did I get here? I didn't start off this way for sure. I would say I started off as the opposite of the person I am now. And I think a way to consider your growth is thinking about allowing yourself to be contradictory, allowing yourself to change your mind, right? The things I would have done 5, 10 years ago, I would never do now. The dudes I would have dated 5, 10 years ago, I would never date now, right? So,
Very
so
much
allow,
so.
allow yourself to change, to allow your mind to change and literally do a 180. Um, because if you don't look into that space, then you will end up staying stagnant. So, how did I get here? So, I started off, I would say my first ideas about myself were that I had really low self esteem. And it was in high school. I remember having these thoughts, and I couldn't really understand why, because I was like getting straight A's in school. I was popular, like all the check the box kind of things, right? And so there was real, I was, gosh, why do I feel like I have low self esteem all the time? But it was just a thing, and I sort of carried it with me. And when I grew up a bit and started unpacking that, I saw a lot of things that happened in my childhood to lead me to that place. So, uh, I was born out of an affair. So, both of my parents cheated on their spouses, and along came me. Um, and when I was born, they were still kind of having this thing going on. And so I felt, and my dad didn't come to live with us until I was 3, when his current wife had kicked him out of the apartment and all this other stuff, right? And so it was like a big thing when I was born. I didn't meet my half sisters until I was 11. And all of these things I knew, right? And why did I know that by the time I got to high school? I don't know. I feel like maybe I shouldn't have known that so early in life. But I took that feeling of being othered, being illegitimate, which is what they used to call kids outside of marriage, right? Being this like unwanted with me, and combine that with a mom who, and both parents very well intentioned. Let me just say that, right? There was no intention to hurt me at all. But being a sensitive person, a sensitive child, I pulled everything in. And so my parents both being immigrants coming to this country, wanting, success for me and all that, sort of pushed me to get good grades and that kind of thing. And so that's what I focused on. I focused on being successful. I focused on making a lot of money. My mom would, instead of allowing me to come to my own conclusions about things, would always try to fix things for me. So I grew up thinking that I wasn't smart enough. Even though I was getting straight A's, I wasn't smart because I always had to have my mom helping me. Like, she dressed me until I was 13. That's pretty old. I have a 12-year-old who started dressing herself at 6. And at the time I was like, this is weird. Why? I was like, it seems so early to me. Why does she want to dress herself at 6? And my cousin was like, oh, that is normal. Like, she's supposed to want to try to do things. I was like, oh, okay. And
Then even
so, yeah. So my mom, with all her well intentions, just put me in this cocoon. And I stayed there, not developing in a space of being able to do certain things for myself and believing in myself. And also, I said I was going to try not to say, that's something I'm working on, but here it is. So, the other thing is that, while she loved me in a way that she would like do things for me and buy things for me, she wouldn't empathize with me. It was just onto the fixing. So there was no, oh, I'm sorry you feel like that. What do you need? How can I? It was, this is what you should need and you should do and you should whatever. And so I ended up being trained to be judgmental because it was just about, well, I know better because I can fix. And this person does this and that person. So it was all of these things, like sort of the way my parents were, the way they were raised, like just did not, in every instance, right, really give me what I needed. And so because of that and their push to be successful, and my dad working 2 jobs and kind of being around sometimes, not being around. When he was around, he was just watching sports. Like, my mom would have parties and my dad would be inside watching sports. We would go to dinner and he would bring, they used to have like these portable TVs back in the day. He would bring a portable TV and watch sports while we're at dinner, right? Like stuff like that, where it's like, well, he's just doing, but no, I felt it deeply. And
Right.
so growing up in that space made me feel like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't enough. And so I just tried to prove myself through perfection. Let me get straight A's. Let me go to the best college. Let me go to the best school. Let me become a lawyer. Let me do, and all of that outside to fill the void I had in myself. And so that's where I ended up. I ended up marrying somebody. I mean, getting a job that I didn't love and being in a career I didn't love for a really long time. Marrying someone who was absolutely not for me, not even for himself. I mean, he's a narcissist, and so he's unable to love and be empathetic. And he just was everything I didn't need. He was like a manifestation of all the horrible things that occurred when I was younger in one human being. And like, if you don't love yourself, it becomes real clear when you marry somebody like that. And so this is sort of the path that I went down. And he ended up cheating on me. And thank God he did, because if he didn't, I don't know where I would be. I might still be in there. But that was the catalyst. That year he cheated on me. My dad passed away and I had a miscarriage all in the same year, like within 6 months of each other. And that perfect storm. And then, I think the universe being like, this ain't her journey. Like,
Right.
let me put some people into her life and move some things around so she can get off this ridiculous path. And that, moving back to Brooklyn where I'm from and all these things, meeting a person I used to hang out with in high school that's now into spiritual work and him, but like all the things just sort of came together to pull me out of that. But that was sort of the trauma. And so, and there were other things that happened, like I was sexually abused when I was in third grade and stuff like that. Right. And I'm not, but it was more like a lot of different things formed to make me who I was.
Right.
It wasn't just any one thing, and it wasn't for anybody wanting to be awful to me at all. I think my parents did what they did because they wanted me to have the life that they didn't grow up with, right? It was about, like, you move to this country as an immigrant, it's about doctor, lawyer, engineer, or you're just
Mhm.
close to the family. Why did I come here and have you if you're just going to be, I don't know, organizing homes for people? What are you doing? Right? So, so it was a lot of, I want to say a lot of small things because I think empathy, and being taught how to love and how to love yourself are basic human needs, but not anything that was valued in that way, right? It was just about what can you do and what can you get and how can you survive and how can you be wealthy and get good grades and all that kind of stuff, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
So I just love when I hear other, especially Black women, tell their story, because then you see like how much of a connection, how many like little things that you had to grow through also, or just the similarities, just knowing like, dang, that didn't just happen to me. Because a
Right.
lot of the times we feel like we isolate ourselves, we can get caught up in our head like this is only happening to me. So just
Right.
all the things that you were able to grow through to get to the point that you're at now is definitely it's empowering to even listen to. And just some of the similarities is just proving yourself for protection. I think that's what you said. I tried to write that down really fast. And I feel like that's exactly how it was for me just growing up in um, high school. I was the one getting the good grades and I was the class clown a little bit, but I did struggle with low self esteem because I was short. There was something that I just couldn't, that was something that just couldn't happen.
Mhm.
So just having to grow through that, and then just in terms of what you were saying about your parents and the empathy part is really big. Wow. I'm trying to like comment on the things that you're saying, but just hearing your story, and I think that a lot of the women listening can resonate with so many different parts of your story, and it's just refreshing to see how you got to this point, and then able to transform homes. And I think that that would be a good segue to our next question, because you literally have this unique gift of transforming homes into sanctuaries. And we realize that that's part of how we can continue growing and for ourselves is the boundaries, the people that you surround yourself with. You were saying you only surround yourself with people who pour into you, but then also your home and how that looks, and that affects everything. But you get to do that for other people and do it with I say joy, because that's like something like a staple kind of in the work that you do. So can you share with us how you discovered this path of transforming those homes, and how the role of self-care maybe played a part in that?
Absolutely. So let's see. I got divorced. Started separating from my husband like 2014, 2015, got divorced in 2016. And then I moved from New Jersey back to Brooklyn and started working same job I had as a single parent. And I was racing everywhere. I would like run to my kid's school to drop her off, which is the complete opposite direction of my job. And then they didn't have before care, so I'd have to get there at a certain time, then race across Brooklyn to do. Like, I was just, it was crazy. But I knew for her sake that coming to Brooklyn was important, and that it was important that we be able to move away so she could have some distance between some of the things that the way her dad was. I didn't want her to grow up with his way of being every day. So I knew I had to do it this way. And I had support from my mom, but it was still a lot.
Mhm.
And so I started to think about, well, this is not I'm not happy doing this. Like, I wasn't happy in my marriage. Okay, took care of that. And I'm not happy doing this. And that had been waves. Like, I wasn't happy in law school. I wasn't happy a lot during over the years, but it became really apparent that as my kid is growing older, she's paying attention. I'm really unhappy racing all over the place, and I needed to do something about it. And so I left. But the leaving was interesting because even though I knew I didn't want to practice law anymore, and it was a combination of like, I didn't love it. I never loved it. And also it wasn't practical. Like, didn't love the person it turned me into when I was at work. I didn't feel like I could be myself. And that became more and more important as I stepped out of marriage, becoming a mom of a kid, of a daughter too, who's growing older and who's paying attention to what I'm doing. And so I was like, I can't continue to be in this space and pretend that I like talking to the people I'm talking to at work every day, right? Like, these are not people I would hang out with on weekends. I can't talk to them the way, like, I was like, it just felt really uncomfortable. And so I left, but had not spent any time figuring out, well, what do I want to do? Right? I was just like, I know I don't want to do this, but now what do I want to do? So that took a while. At first I was like, I'm free. And then I just kind of hung out for a few months. And then I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. And I thought, well, should I get another law job? And let me tell you this. I interviewed for this job that was great as far as law jobs were concerned for me at the time. Interview with the CEO. They took me to lunch. I had like 3-4 rounds. I was like, this is in the bag. In the bag. I was like, I'm going to get this job. And they never got back to me.
Wow.
Never got back to me and said, you got it. Never got back to me and said that I didn't have it. I was like, this is weird. Like, I haven't heard from them. I checked in. They were like, oh, we'll get back to you. Not a word. So I was like, okay, I see you, universe. I need to make this decision myself. Fine. Right. So I searched and figured out, did all this stuff. And somebody told me about Marie Kondo's book. They knew I liked organizing. And I was like, okay, well, I'll buy the book, put it on the book with the other 10,000 books I have. I'll get to it eventually. And then her show came out on Netflix and I watched it. And pretty much right away,
The name of the show?
It was called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo.
Okay.
Yeah. And she has a couple shows now, but that was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love as soon as it was just a few minutes in and I was like, I think that's what I want to do for a living. And it felt like a full alignment. I was like, oh, okay. And then I started to Google and then I was like, okay, she's hiring consultants. Wonderful. I'm going to try to sign up for the program. There was a wait list. It was full. I had to wait till November. This was January. I had to wait till November to get in. And that's how I found her. And what was amazing about the work she was doing was not just the organizing, because that wasn't exciting to me. It wasn't fun to me to go in and just move things around in people's houses and leave. There had to be more. Like, this is what I know about myself. I'm just deep, right? I'm deep with everything.
Nice.
So, I was like, I can't just move something and be like, okay, bye. There has to be something behind it. So the thing that was amazing is that she combined this idea of home, this idea of joy, this idea of your own truth with growth, and tied all that to how you live outside the house. So the things in your home connect with outside of your house. And I never thought, I was like, wow, right? The things in your home are your life, right? All your memories, all your habits, all your likes, your dislikes live in the things that you have, your guilt, your fear, all of it. And so by going through this stuff, you can really learn about yourself and learn how to make better decisions. And I was just mind blown. I was like, come on, Marie. So I ordered all the books, did all the things, and waited till November to be in the course and was just excited all weekend. You know, as someone who, I just told my story, right? So as someone who was not allowed to kind of think for herself in a lot of ways, now being involved with something that empowers other people to rely on themselves wholeheartedly and purposely says, don't think about how you look in this dress, like whether your husband likes that or whether your wife likes it. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how you feel. How you feel is important. And I create a space literally a container for you to be comfortable enough to make those decisions. And I've been trained to read body language, to reflect back to you so that you can really hear yourself, to train you to basically quiet those voices around you and really think about what matters to you, what aligns to you. Because joy is not a thought, it's a feeling. And so I've got to work to get you to stay here because a lot of people live up in their heads. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was exactly what I needed to do in my own life. And I'd already started that journey by getting divorced and being opened up to personal growth and all that other stuff that I've been doing. I'd already read like The Power of Now and all that stuff. By the time I found Marie Kondo, I was deep in growth and working on myself. So this was like perfect. And so that was really how it happened. It just ended up being something that, I mean, and I really do think that the things you do are because you need to do them yourself. Like you give what you need to get.
Mm-hmm.
And so I needed to learn how to listen more and not be as judgy as I've been trained to be, right? I needed to learn how to be more empathetic because that's what I needed myself. And I do all of that with my clients. So yeah, it was really like a coming home and, you know, an embracing of the person that I am, who was buried under all of this straight A's and Duke Law School stuff that I had done before.
It's amazing that you get to do the things that you love, but you're incorporating that into your life. This is how you live, this is how you show up. So I feel like that resonates with me because this is what I do. I love talking to different people. I love challenging myself to have conversations, or even when I'm in the hot seat and they ask me some questions, I enjoy that too. But being able to have it as a profession, and this is my give because I'm a storytelling videographer. So like I love stories and her stories and growth stories, but what she grows through is allowing Black women to tell their stories and just realize like how much of a connection that we have. And I get to have this synergy with everything, and I think that it's pretty dope. So just finding another Black woman who gets to do the things that she loves to do and do them well, and for something as inspiring as what you do, because I'm learning how much it is, the stuff around you and in your house, and I can't wait till I can get to that point where I can make my house like an oasis, because right now I'm in my come up house, but I'm not leaving until I buy my own because rent is high. And if I'm going to pay those prices, I'm going to pay for a mortgage. Like I'll do that and it be my own. But I'm so looking forward to that. And most likely is just going to be you, because we're connecting, like, and just hearing your story. And that's how bonds are made, those
Indeed.
things. Yeah. So it's inspiring. I know our listeners are finding this, they have to be finding this as inspiring as I am. In terms of where you're at now, and are there any self-care practices or routines that you incorporate just on a daily that would be good to share with our listeners on something that they can incorporate also?
Yeah, I have a lot.
Okay, good.
So, I have a therapist, I'm a coach. I advise, if you coach, you should have a coach. If you don't, I'd be like, that'd be interesting to me. I
Hmm.
have a therapist, and so that is important. It's important to be able to, if you're creating a safe space for somebody else, as part of your work, it's important to have a safe space created for you, frankly. Um, so that's an important thing that I do. The other thing that I do is bullet journal. So if you don't know what bullet journaling is, it's it's called bullet because of the speed of it, but it's not. It's kind of journaling, and it's not really journaling. So it's a combination. It's really a way to track your past, to organize your present, and to design your future, basically. So it's a way to write your to dos down. So and it's also a way to reflect on what you do and how you spend your time so that you can be assured that you're working on things that are aligned. And so it's a whole structure, but there's also space for creativity so you can make it your own. And it basically makes me pay attention to what I do with my time. And it provides a space for self reflection. Now, I'm the kind of person, as I said before, that I reflect every day. But if you don't, bullet journaling is a beautiful way to do that. And it's an easy way to do that with the way it's been structured. So the other thing I do is self reflect. It's really awesome. And it allows me to make sure that I'm showing up in a way that feels like love for myself and other people. The other thing I do is meditate. I wouldn't say I do it every day. I like guided meditation. I'm not the kind of person to just sort of sit, legs crossed and just be quiet. So I prefer guided journaling, like focusing on, someone walking me through a breathing technique or something like that. I have a friend that does a free meditation session on Zoom every Wednesday morning. So I just did that this morning, and it's wonderful. He has the most calming, amazing voice. He does beautiful guided meditations. I'll
That so we can meet up. That
Yes.
sounds fun. Yes.
Yes, it is beautiful. It's a wonderful space. He's incredible. So I do that every week. What else? I do my best to not be on my phone when I'm with other people. And this maybe doesn't sound like something that is a big deal, but it is. I mean, I'm raising a kid. She's 12, I think, as I said earlier, and it's important to me that she understand how much it matters when you make eye contact with someone, how much it matters when you give them your undivided attention and when you listen. And that really is love. As I told you, I wasn't given a lot of empathy, so I pay a lot of attention to how I interact with other people. The other thing that I do is I'm way more realistic with my time. So I was just saying to someone this morning that I have a problem with overscheduling myself or thinking I can get done more than I actually can. And I still have an issue with that. I'm way better than I was, but I still have an issue with that. So will leave messages unread now. Like I wasn't that person. I would stay up all night trying to return all the emails, blah, blah, blah. Like perfectionism and control was and frankly is still something I'm working through. And so allowing messages to go unread is self-care, honey. It is self-care. Let those messages be unread. Let those emails be unanswered. Let people know. Like at the bottom of my email signature says basically, when I try to be present with the people that I'm with, you may expect me to respond a little more quickly than I do. And it doesn't mean I don't care about you, but it means I honor myself so that I can respond to you fully. And so I try to let my kid know the same thing. Like, if you want my undivided attention, you have to let mommy have undivided attention with other people. It's just so important. It's just such a kind thing, I think, to listen and give somebody your time. That's like all we have is our time.
Right.
So I'm giving you my time. Yeah. So I try to make space for that. That is self-care to me. If I know I'm showing up for you as best I can, then I can go home and sleep that night. Like that's how I am. And the other thing is, I take this from Marie, is I ask myself often, does this spark joy? And it's really connected to the self-reflection. It's not just about, does this dress spark joy? Does this book spark joy in my house? But does what I'm doing spark joy? Does how I'm spending my time spark joy? This is how I realized I want to move out of New York. Because I was like, I don't feel the same about this place as I used to. And I need to honor that. Like, your emotions are signals. Pay attention to them. Like, if you feel drained around people, if you feel sad, if you feel like afraid around someone that you spend, like your body's trying to tell you something. So listen. And so I just went on vacation for quite a few days. It was incredible. And when I went to Barbados, which is where my dad's family's from.
Nice.
When I came back in, I've been describing it to people as like entering the Earth's atmosphere again, because it was like, it was such a huge difference in the way I felt. And I was like, man, this is telling. I was on the plane and I was like, and I was like, I don't want to feel that way about my life. Like I have designed the life I have here. All of these, I live in the place I want to live. My kid goes to the school I wanted to go to, right? Like I've made choices that have led me here. I can make choices that can undo this. This is for me to handle. And so I do not pass off anything in my life to anybody else. So all the self-reflection I do is like, okay, what can I do now to make this be more aligned, move me toward that delusional ease I said that I want, like allow my imagination to expand. Like, what can I do to get me to that place?
Mm.
And so I think about that quite a bit. And I'm an introvert, so I try to spend time by myself. I love doing that. I love reading in bed. I love reading to my kid in her room. Um, I try to do those things that really fill me up so that I can go out in the world and be what I need to be to other people. Um, yeah, I think that's probably
That's amazing. Like, there's so many gems that we can take from there. And I'll definitely be going back to this episode just so that I can take notes. Like, or maybe when I'm doing the show notes, I'll be able to like take notes at the same time. But those are really, really good examples of self care and how it works for you. And then just cultivating joy. And that's why it's important with this episode or with this series, like self care, like for the summer, like being able to continue to cultivate this joy and like loving on ourselves. And even during the summer months, like the hotness, like going on vacation, like this is the time where we can really take some time and reflect inward. And you continuing to say reflect, I wonder if you are a reflector, like in terms of like human design. Do you
mm,
have you ever thought about those things like projector, manifesting generator, and reflector? Like that's
yeah, I am
interesting.
not. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Oh
you.
no, you're fine.
I I am not a reflector. I am a generator, actually.
Okay.
I'm a generator. So so that, I need to be filled up. Um,
Hmm.
and so this is why I pay so much attention to like how I'm feeling about things, how my energy is. And so it's actually what made me want to expand what I do.
Hmm.
So so organizing a home is really two things. It's decluttering, so figuring out what you want to keep, or in other words, what sparks joy. And
Right.
also it's organizing is figuring out a home for those things and what it's going to live in. And so as I was going through my work, I realized how much I love decluttering and how I didn't so love the organizing part. Now, I don't mind. I like helping people figure out where something's going to live, but what I don't like is going to the container store, like figuring out like binned out glory, and then it becomes about the binned out glory and not about the lessons you got from the decluttering. And
Hmm.
so I was realizing I was getting drained when clients were saying, "Can you shop for me for this or that?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, "Why am I procrastinating here? What is going on with me?" But I realized that I wasn't showing up fully because it was draining my energy. And so I recently decided to give that part of my business away to a friend who was a manifesting generator, and that part lights her up. And
Right.
so I do the decluttering. I figure out where things going to live, and she does the whole, if people want it, and they don't always do, but she does the whole binned out glory design situation. And I'm like, oh,
Right.
like
Breath of fresh
it just
air.
makes me so happy. And so then I decided to stop calling myself a home organizer, because calling myself that makes people want to hire me to make their homes perfect. Like, I found that I was getting a lot of people who just wanted me to fix things and not realizing that their choices were what needed more support than where does something live and what does it live in. So I decided to start calling myself a well-being coach and a home therapist, and I stole the home therapist from one of my clients. And
Mhm.
what I do now is I help people improve their lives and their well-being in their lives, and then tidying up is one of the modalities that I use to help people get to that space. And so if they want Bin Dot Glory, fine. I have a friend for that. I got an app for that, right? I got a friend for that. But if they don't want decluttering, I'm down for that too, because I'm a well-being coach now. That's what I love.
Mm.
Um, but I also do the work. So like watching, self-reflecting, knowing I'm a generator and knowing I need to be lit up by things, all of that helped me figure that out about my business and made me so much happier to go to work now. And not being afraid, right? Like I've changed
Right.
careers already, and it was hard when I did it. And so I'm not afraid to move things around so that I can show up in the best way for the people that want to hire me, you know?
Yeah. For sure. And definitely I would love to touch on you being a home therapist and a well-being coach. I'm sure you have so many like transformational stories of women embracing their joy like after you've come in and just do your thing. Or there is there a story that you can share that has been impactful for you in terms of that?
There's a lot of little stories, um, but there's a few that come to mind that really move me. So there was a client I had who grew up very religious, and she would not only go to service on Sundays, but multiple times a week she would be in the church with various activities and things. And so as she got older, she started to move away from that. And not that she didn't still believe, but she just wasn't attending church in the way that she used to. And this was sort of brought on by her parents, right? She moved away, she like moved across the country and whatever. And so as we were going through her books, and books are a category that are really telling for people. You can find yourself. If you really like books, you can really find yourself there. And so as we're going through her books, we came across, I think the Bible was one of the first ones. And it was a Bible that had been given to her by her mom. It had like a whole inscription in the beginning. And so um she was like, "Oh, it's the Bible." I said, "Okay." She was like, "Well," I was like, "Well, how do you feel about it? Does it spark joy?" She's like, "Well," she's like, "My mom gave it to me." I was like, "I hear you. Does it spark joy though?" She's like, "Well, I don't really go to it now. I don't feel like I need to for the relationship that I have with God, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Okay, well," and I did my best to create this space for her where she could feel comfortable considering what she wanted and not what her mother wanted her to do.
Mhm.
So she was like, "I think I'm going to let it go." I was like, "Okay." It was huge for her. Like, imagine growing up, this being a huge part of your life, and then being able to say, "I'm going to let the Bible go," but yet still having a relationship with God. Like, that is a huge decision for someone to make. And so and I just was sat there like in awe of her. I was just like, this is incredible. Like, it may feel like a small thing, but those are the kinds of things that are life changing for people as you're working with them. So as we kept going through her books, we got to another religious book. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't the Bible or anything, but it was something like some kind of religious book. And she was able to say, "You know what? This doesn't spark joy for me. I have my own relationship with God. I don't need to keep this just because my mom gave it to me, blah, blah, blah." And she was able to let it go herself. And that's the thing. So at first, I will guide you, I will give you the safe space. And then hopefully, as we continue, you are giving yourself your own safe space. And you
Right.
can make decisions without me saying, "Well, what about this? What about that? Remember this feeling," and all of that. So you can remember your own feeling, and you can remember that you're not honoring your mom by letting the Bible gather dust on the shelf,
Mhm.
right? You're not honoring her by not cracking it open. Books want to be read. They don't just want to sit there looking pretty. So if you're not using it, why are you keeping it? And what is that saying about you? And so that giving her that safe space to make such a huge decision is big. I mean, I think about like the custody of my kid. Like, there are a few decisions that I have to make in
Mhm.
allegiance with her father. One of them is, what religion is she? Right? That's one of them. And so this is not a small thing. It wasn't a small thing for her. And it was a beautiful thing to witness her making that decision, doing it for herself, feeling good enough to say, "I may disappoint my mother, but I know I'm going to feel good anyway."
Right.
That lesson carries through, I think, every client I've ever had, right? Everybody has something in their home from their mom.
Mhm.
Everybody. That it's like, "Well, she bought it for me. Well, she made it for me. Well, she bought it for my kid. Well, she," and being able to say, "Okay, her intention was good. She loves you. She loves your daughter. She loves your son. Doesn't mean that you have to keep it. You're not like, that whole conversation is so big for people. And often it's something that we have to do over and over and over again because there's multiple things in the home that fall in that category. And it's a
Right.
hard lesson to break, right? And so when KonMari is an entire home method. So you're supposed to go through everything and you're supposed to do it as quickly as you can so that your mindset gets shifted, your habits get changed. And it's not just like every now and then, one, one, one. so that you really come out of it shifted and different and embracing a new way of thinking, a new perspective, a new self-love, right? And so there's lots of little stories I have like that where people have made these changes that I just couldn't imagine them doing when I first started working with them, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Like, and even like you're saying, because your habits, like, they create the mood, and your mood is like kind of like a filter, like through which you experience your life. So being able to get the good ones, down pack, like, I think that's pretty dope. I've been asking you some really good questions, and I feel like we're just learning just so much. Even it makes me get interested in the home space, and I want to go and declutter my home and just starting, because I know that is like a good self-care. That would do a lot for me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I have one more kind of question. Well, yeah, it is a question. I have one more question for you, and the podcast is called What She Grows Through. And I love to ask, I'm so curious on what other Black women's interpretation on what she grows through, what that means to you, and how you feel like it aligns with the journey that you're on, a journey of hopefully personal growth and self-discovery, self-reflection. Like, what does what she grows through mean to you?
So I come from the perspective that there's a lesson in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. One of the parts of KonMari that I love so much is when you decide something doesn't spark joy, you say thank you to it and goodbye. And the thank you, and we're talking about an inanimate object, right? So, and the reason we do that is because you have either used it and it has taught you that this is no longer the person you are, or you don't use it. And so you figured out like this is something you don't like, right? There's always a lesson. There's always a lesson. And so I think what she grows through means that there are lessons that come from your experiences, from everything that you've done, your connections. And I think if you look at each of them, there's multiple lessons in there that you can take and you can grow from. I remember I had a friend, I was dating this guy after I got divorced, and I was very anxious, right? And I was like, oh, why is he going to text me, tonight? I want to go out with him this weekend. When's he going to call me back? All this stuff. And one of my friends was like, are you having fun? You enjoying yourself? Doesn't seem like you're enjoying yourself. What are you doing? Right? Like, what are you doing exactly? He's like, you seem very anxious. Is this fun for you? And I was like, well, damn it. Right? Like, no, it isn't fun for me. And so I think just in your reactions to things, in all of it, like there's some lesson in there, And so I think that what she grows through for me means that we should start paying more attention. There's something there. Even when you think there isn't something there, even when it's something awful and you're like, why is this happening to me? There's a lesson in it. Mm-hmm. It may not be clear to you right now, but wait and reflect like I do, right? Wait and reflect and it'll come to you. And so I think with respect to my life, I think I've been through a lot. I mean, there's things I haven't told you, right? I've been through a lot. And I remember thinking, when I was thinking about changing my business and moving from just being a KonMari consultant to being a well-being coach who also practices, KonMari as a modality, I thought a lot about my life. What do I have to give people who want to be coached? What do I have to say? I've been through all the things. I mean, all of them. And sometimes I'm like, what in the hell? Right? Like, why has my life been like this? And I know my life has been like this so that I can be able to guide people through anything. And so I can say from even the worst things that have happened to me to even the most amazing things that have happened to me, there's something in there I can take and give to somebody else. So for my life, what she grows through is not only for me, but for the people that I want to serve, for my child, my friends. I feel like I'm full of support and help for people who need it.
Right. And with that, we like the mic drop. We definitely need that here because that was beautiful. Thank you so much. How can our listeners connect with you? How can they learn about all the good things and all the gems that you have to offer?
Oh, well, thanks for asking. So you can find me in a few different places. Lately, I've been on Threads a lot. So
Okay.
find me there. My Threads name is sweet_digs. That's also my Instagram profile because they are connected. My website is sweet-digs. And I say that's because the person who owns Sweet Digs wanted like 5 grand or something. I was like, child, no, let me just put a dash here. I'll be just fine. All right.
Right.
But I think I may be changing my name to my name. But apparently there's another Pia Thompson out there, so I'm gonna have to see how that goes. So yeah, I think I might be changing it to my name, but for now, Sweet Digs, and you can find me anywhere or just search for Pia Thompson. I'll come up there. There's another, but there aren't that many of us, so I'll be there too. You can DM me. There's a way to sign up for a 30-minute free consultation with me. So yeah, I'm around. I'm on the internet. I'm in these streets. So feel
Yes,
free to
very
look
much
me up.
so. Very much. That is, yeah, I'm definitely going to be reaching out and doing the things also.
Awesome.
What is the last thing I wanted to? Yeah, the sweet. I don't know. I don't remember what the last thing oh, because you're locked. That's what I keep remembering.
Oh,
Like, what do I want to say to her? Like, yeah. So I'm 7 months in, and
oh.
been a great journey, and it's nice to, when I see other locked black women, I'm like, look, I'm in the community now. Like, and they're beautiful. I can't wait till mine gets to be as long as yours. But yeah, that's what I have. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, sharing your journey and your wisdom with all our community. And I just want to say thank you to the bottom of my heart. This was like you just poured all the way into us. And I know a lot of women will be able to resonate with so many of the things that you said. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Chanel. It has been a joy. It's been a joy to connect with you finally. And thank you for what you're doing. I mean, honestly, the questions that you put out and ask are really soul searching. And I know that they're serving a lot of people. So thank you for this podcast. Thank you for the space. And I appreciate everything you're doing.
You every time people say thank you to me, like it warms my heart, and I've been learning to like accept it because you want to deflect and like put it on the other person, like oh, this is me a little bit too, huh?
You better take all this love. You better take it. Just take it.
And there you have it. What a beautiful journey through joy, self care, and embracing our truths with the ever inspiring Pia. Your insights, Pia, serves as a gentle reminder of the beauty of living with purpose and the power of cultivating joy, especially as Black and brown women navigating through this life thing. To our beautiful listeners, if Pia's message touched your soul, do show us some love. Please rate our show 5 stars and share your thoughts in a review. Your feedback means so much to me and us in the community. And if Pia's journey inspired you to reflect on your own path, send us your tales of growth, resilience, and transformation at hello@whatshegrowsthrough.com. And let's keep this beautiful exchange of stories and wisdom flowing. Let's keep growing. Thank you again, Pia, and thank you, our dope community, for being with us on this summer adventure. I'm beyond grateful for our shared moments, our lessons, and our growth. And until our paths cross again, stay blessed and rooted in joy and well being. I look forward to talking with you again. Until then.